The night sky burned red. From the hills of Outpost 17, Sergeant Daniel Crow watched the horizon shatter with light. What had once been a calm desert was now a storm of explosions. The Earth Alliance had sent him to this border world called Erevos, a mining planet rich in crystals. But tonight it had become a battlefield. The aliens had come without warning. No radio signals, no threats. Just sudden fire from the sky. Daniel crouched behind a pile of broken metal, feeling the ground shake under his boots. His team was gone, scattered or dead. He tried to call base command, but his communicator only buzzed with static. He looked around. The landscape glowed faint blue under the burning sky. The air smelled of dust and ozone. Machines burned, lights flickered, and the sound of screaming wind filled the air. He was alone, or so he thought. Something moved near the wreckage of a dropship. It was faint, like the reflection of water. Daniel raised his rifle, eyes narrowing. "Who's there?" He shouted, no answer. Only the soft hiss of smoke and the crackle of broken wires. Then he saw her. A figure crawled out from the mud, half covered in gray dust and glowing faintly blue under the flames. She wasn't human. Her skin was smooth and almost luminous, like liquid glass reflecting moonlight. Her eyes were bright silver, wide with fear. Daniel froze. His heart pounded. He had seen alien soldiers before, most of them fierce, armored, and merciless. But this one looked fragile. She was shivering, weak and covered in dirt. Her lips moved, but her voice was broken. Man?" Daniel lowered his weapon a little. "Yeah," he said carefully. "I'm human." "Who are you?" She tried to stand, but her legs gave way. She fell back into the muddy water, gasping. "Please, clean me." "Human." Daniel frowned, not understanding. "Clean you?" She nodded weakly, her voice trembling. "The mud. It burns, my skin. It's poison to me," he hesitated. Was this a trick? An alien trap? But her pain looked real. The way she held her arm, the panic in her eyes, it wasn't an act. He stepped closer, keeping one hand on his weapon. "Stay still," he said. "I'll help you." She looked up at him, her silver eyes reflecting the firelight. "Why?" she whispered. "Humans kill us," Daniel sighed. "Not tonight." He knelt beside her and used the last of his water canteen to wash the mud from her arms. The blue of her skin grew brighter as the poison washed away. She gasped softly as if each drop of water was bringing her back to life. Her voice softened. "You help enemy?" Daniel didn't answer right away. He didn't know what to say. The war had made him forget what mercy felt like. But now, kneeling beside this wounded creature, something human returned inside him. "What's your name?" he finally asked. She blinked slowly. "Lyra." "Okay, Lyra," he said quietly. "Let's get you out of here." The ground rumbled again. Another explosion shook the valley. Daniel grabbed Lyra's arm and pulled her behind a broken engine core. Shrapnel rained down, hissing into the mud. When the smoke cleared, Lyra's eyes met his again. "Why fight?" she asked suddenly. "This planet, not yours." Daniel looked away. "I don't know anymore." She tilted her head. "You don't want war?" "Not this one," he said. For a long moment, they sat in silence as the fire burned around them. Daniel could hear the distant hum of alien ships overhead. He knew reinforcements wouldn't come for hours. Maybe not at all. Lyra reached out her hand, trembling. "You save me," she whispered. "I save you." He looked at her hand, blue, fragile, almost glowing. Then he took it. A strange warmth passed between them, not physical but deeper, like two lives touching through fear. Daniel didn't understand it, but he didn't pull away. Somewhere above them, the sky cracked open again with thunder. But for the first time that night, Daniel didn't feel alone. He looked at Lyra and said, "If we're both stuck here, we better find shelter." She nodded weakly, still holding his hand. Together they disappeared into the smoky dark, two enemies walking side by side, and as the world around them burned, something new was beginning, something no soldier or alien could ever predict. The storm had quieted, but the night was far from safe. Daniel and Lyra walked through the ruins of what had once been a small alien village. Strange round houses made of silver stone now lay broken, half-sunk into the mud. The sky above was a swirl of smoke and ash, lit by the dim glow of alien fireflies drifting in the air. Lyra moved slowly, her body weak from the poison. Her blue skin glimmered faintly under the cold light. Daniel walked beside her, holding his rifle tight, his eyes searching every shadow. "Are there more of your people here?" he asked quietly. Lyra shook her head. Gone. All gone. The war took them. Humans came first. Then my people fought back, Daniel frowned. Your people attacked the mining base. They killed thousands. She looked at him, her silver eyes calm but sad. You were digging into sacred ground. You took our heartstones. Those are not just crystals, human. They are life. He didn't know what to say. He had never heard that before. To the soldiers, the crystals were just energy resources, something to power ships and weapons. But to her, they were something sacred. They reached the ruins of a large dome. Inside, it was dark and cool. The air smelled of rain and old metal. Daniel found a dry corner and helped Lyra sit down. She was breathing hard, her hands shaking slightly. You need rest, he said. She looked at him and smiled faintly. You sound like a healer. Daniel sat beside her, cleaning his weapon. No, just a soldier who's tired of death. She tilted her head, studying him. Why did you help me, Daniel Crow? He looked up, surprised that she knew his name. Then he remembered. His name tag was still on his chest. He smiled weakly. Because I couldn't leave you to die in the mud. Not after what I saw in your eyes. What did you see? Fear, he said softly. Same as mine. For a long moment there was silence between them. Outside, distant thunder echoed like war drums. Lyra's breathing slowed and her eyes began to close. Daniel leaned back, watching the strange lights flicker outside the ruined dome. He thought about Earth, about the orders he had followed, and about the faces of his team. All gone. Maybe Lyra was right. Maybe humans didn't understand what they were destroying. Then from outside came a sound, faint but sharp. The crunch of footsteps in wet dirt. Daniel froze. He turned off his small wrist light and motioned for Lyra to stay quiet. The sound came closer. Someone was out there. He crept to the entrance, peering through a crack in the wall. In the blue haze, he saw movement. Dark shapes gliding between the ruins. Not human. Their armor shimmered with faint silver light. Alien soldiers. Lyra's people, she gasped softly. They will kill you, she whispered. He turned to her. And you? If they see me with you, they will kill me too. Daniel's mind raced. There was nowhere to run. The dome had only one exit. The soldiers were closing in. He crouched beside her. We stay quiet. Don't move until I say. She nodded, her eyes wide. The aliens moved closer. He could hear their strange language in a low, musical tone mixed with static. It sounded like wind through glass. Daniel pressed his back against the wall, breathing slowly. His hand hovered over his weapon, but he didn't want to fire, not unless he had to. Then one of the soldiers stopped right outside the dome entrance. A beam of blue light swept across the floor. It came closer and closer to where Daniel and Lyra were hiding. Lyra reached out, touching his arm. Her fingers were cold but steady. She whispered something in her language, a soft hum that seemed to echo inside his head. The beam of light passed right over them and stopped. Daniel held his breath. Then, slowly, the soldier turned away. The group moved on, disappearing into the dark. Daniel exhaled shakily. What did you do? Lyra's eyes shimmered. I made them not see us. He stared at her. You can do that? She smiled weakly. Only for a short time. It costs energy. My kind can bend light when we are close to death. Daniel shook his head in disbelief. You're full of surprises. She looked down, her smile fading. I am not supposed to be here. My people wanted war. I wanted peace. He looked at her, realizing for the first time how different she was from the others. She wasn't a soldier. She was something else. What were you doing when the attack started? He asked. She hesitated, then said, I was trying to stop it. He frowned. You mean you were against your own army? Yes, she whispered. I warned them that humans do not understand. But they said I was weak. They called me traitor. Daniel stared at her, speechless. The woman sitting beside him wasn't just an alien. She was someone who had risked everything for peace, and now both sides wanted her dead. Outside, another explosion lit the sky. The war was moving closer again. Daniel turned to her. Then we better move before dawn. She looked at him, fear flickering in her eyes. Where will we go? Somewhere safe, he said. If that even exists anymore. He didn't notice it, but as he spoke, Lyra's hand brushed against the crystal pendant around her neck. It pulsed faintly, glowing blue, the same color as the sky before the war began. Something inside it shimmered like a heartbeat, and far above the clouds, a ship stirred awake. one that hadn't been seen in 1,000 years. The morning came slowly. The sky over Erevos was still dark, colored by smoke and cloud. But the faint red light of the sun began to break through. Daniel and Lyra walked silently through the broken forest. Strange plants grew everywhere, tall with silver leaves and roots that glowed faintly blue. The ground was soft, almost breathing under their feet. The air was heavy with mist, and small lights floated around them like fireflies. Lyra moved carefully, her steps quiet. She still looked weak, but her eyes were sharper now. Daniel carried his rifle across his back and kept scanning the trees. They had not spoken much since the night before. The memory of the alien soldiers passing by still lingered. Finally, Daniel broke the silence. "That crystal you wear, what is it?" Lyra touched the pendant around her neck. It glowed softly when her fingers brushed it. "It is called a heartstone. Every one of my kind is born with one." Daniel frowned. "Born with it?" "Yes," she said. "It grows with us. It is our life connection, and to the planet, to each other." He looked at her closely. "You said the humans were mining these crystals?" She nodded. "Yes, when you take them, you take our life." Daniel stopped walking. The words hit him hard. Then, "We've been killing you without even knowing." Lyra looked at him gently. "You did not know. Your leaders did. They just did not tell you." Daniel clenched his fists. He thought about the missions, the orders, the way the commanders had said the crystals were only resources, non-living energy forms. Lies. "So this war," he said slowly, "started because of greed." Lyra tilted her head. "That is often how wars begin." They kept walking until they reached a small waterfall hidden between glowing rocks. The water sparkled like liquid glass. Lyra knelt beside it, touching the surface. The glow from her skin grew brighter. Daniel crouched beside her. "Does it heal you?" She nodded softly. "It feeds my energy. My body can't live long without it." He watched her hands as they shimmered under the water. She looked peaceful, almost human in that moment. Then suddenly the pendant on her neck pulsed with light. A wave of blue energy rippled through the air, making the ground tremble. Daniel jumped back. "Lyra! What's happening?" She gasped, gripping the crystal tightly. "It's waking up." The light grew stronger. Images flashed around them, floating holograms in the mist. Daniel saw shapes of cities, tall and shining like glass towers. Then he saw fire, destruction, and ships falling from the sky. The vision ended as quickly as it began. The forest went silent again. Lyra fell forward, breathing hard. Daniel caught her before she hit the ground. "Hey, stay with me," he said. "What was that?" Her voice was weak but clear. "The Heartstone showed you our past. And what's coming," he frowned. "What do you mean?" "The Heartstones are all connected. When too many are broken, the planet dies. Erevos is crying for help." Daniel looked around at the forest. The glowing plants, the strange blue light. Everything suddenly felt alive, like the whole planet was breathing. "You mean the planet is alive?" She nodded. "Yes, Erevos has a soul. My people were its guardians, but now both humans and my kind have wounded it." Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. The air grew colder, heavier. "Then how do we stop it from dying?" Lyra looked up at him, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "The war must end, or Erevos will end us all." He stared at her, realizing the truth, that the fight wasn't between humans and aliens anymore. It was about survival for both. Lyra slowly stood up, still weak but determined. "We must reach the heart of Erevos. It lies beneath the Great Canyon. There is an ancient temple there. If I can return my Heartstone, it may heal the planet." Daniel shook his head. "That canyon is deep in the war zone. It's suicide." She looked at him with quiet strength. "Then you can leave me here," he sighed. "You know I won't do that." For the first time she smiled, a real smile. "Then we go together." They packed what little supplies they had and began walking again, following the stream down toward the valley. But unknown to them, high above in the clouds, a massive shadow moved. A human warship. Inside, Commander Huxley watched the scanner readings with a grim expression. "Locate the target," he said. "We've detected strange energy from the surface. Something big." A soldier beside him pointed at the map. "Sector 12, sir. Near the canyon route." Huxley nodded. "Deploy the drones. If it's alien tech, we destroy it." As the ship prepared to launch its strike, Daniel and Lyra walked on. unaware that both humans and aliens were now hunting them. The blue glow from Lyra's crystal pulsed softly against her chest, as if warning her of something terrible that was coming. And for the first time, Daniel wondered if saving her might mean turning against his own kind. The forest opened into a wide valley, filled with mist and echoing wind. The sound of the waterfall faded behind them as Daniel and Lyra walked along a narrow path that led toward the Great Canyon. It had been hours since they last spoke. The air felt heavy, and the silence between them grew deeper with every step. Daniel could see the canyon ahead, a massive crack in the planet that stretched for miles. Lightning flashed within it, glowing blue instead of white. The walls were made of crystal stone, shining faintly like glass veins under the sunlight. He stopped and looked around. Something felt wrong. The birds had gone quiet. The air carried a strange hum, a low mechanical sound, faint but steady. Lyra felt it too. "They're coming," she whispered. Daniel crouched, scanning the sky. At first he saw nothing. Then out of the clouds a small silver drone broke through the mist. Its eyes glowed red, scanning the ground below. "Human drone," Lyra said softly. Daniel cursed under his breath. They must have tracked the Heartstone's energy. The drone began to descend. Daniel grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her behind a cluster of glowing rocks. "Stay down!" The drone hovered above the valley floor, sweeping a red beam across the area. It passed dangerously close to them. Daniel held his breath, his hand gripping his rifle. The beam stopped, right where they were hiding. "Run!" He shouted. They bolted from the rocks as the drone fired. A blast of blue plasma tore through the ground, throwing dirt and sparks into the air. Daniel rolled behind a fallen tree, pulling Lyra down with him. Another shot hit nearby, burning the soil. Lyra cried out, clutching her arm. The blue glow from her skin flickered weakly. Daniel fired back, hitting the drone's sensor. The machine spiraled and crashed into the ground, exploding in a burst of light. But the sound had already drawn attention. Above them, the clouds opened again. More drones, dozens of them, descending like a storm. Daniel looked at Lyra. "We can't fight them all." She nodded, breathing hard. "We must go into the canyon." He looked toward the edge. The drop was steep, a wall of glowing stone disappearing into fog. "We'll never survive that jump." She pressed her hand against her heartstone. "Trust me." Before he could argue, she grabbed his arm and stepped off the edge. The wind roared. Daniel's stomach dropped as they fell through the mist. But then something strange happened. Their fall slowed. Blue light surrounded them, wrapping them in a glowing bubble. They floated down gently, landing on a narrow ledge deep inside the canyon. The light faded as Lyra fell to her knees, gasping for air. Daniel helped her up. "You okay?" She nodded weakly. "The Heartstone. It protected us. But I can't do that again soon." He looked up. Far above, the drones swarmed the canyon's rim, their lights searching the depths. They couldn't see them. Not yet. The canyon was alive with sound. The walls hummed softly, vibrating like a heartbeat. Crystals of all colors grew from the stone, glowing in waves of blue and purple. It was beautiful and eerie at the same time. Lyra touched one of the crystals gently. "This is the planet's blood," she said. "It flows beneath everything." Daniel knelt beside her. "And the temple?" "Deeper," she said. "At the core. That is where the heart of Erevos sleeps." They began climbing down through narrow passages. The air grew warmer, glowing with strange energy. Daniel could feel it on his skin, like electricity mixed with life itself. As they moved deeper, Lyra stopped suddenly. She turned her head, listening. Daniel frowned. "What is it?" "Not drones," she said. "Something else." From the shadows, a voice echoed through the canyon. "You shouldn't have come here, human." Daniel froze. It was deep and distorted, neither fully human nor alien. A figure stepped out from the darkness, tall, armored, with silver skin and bright red eyes. Lyra gasped. "Reinar!" Daniel raised his weapon. "You know him?" She nodded, her voice trembling. "He was once my protector. Now he serves the war." Reinar looked at Daniel coldly. "You took her, human. She carries what belongs to our kind." Daniel kept his aim steady. "She carries hope." Reinar's eyes glowed brighter. "Hope is for the weak. Surrender her or die." Lyra stepped forward, shaking her head. "Reinar, please. You don't understand. The planet is dying because of you," Reinar interrupted. You betrayed us. Before Daniel could react, Reinar raised his hand. A surge of blue energy blasted toward them. Daniel pushed Lyra aside, rolling behind a crystal pillar as the beam shattered the ground. The canyon filled with thunder and light. Daniel fired back, bullets sparking off Reinar's armor. The alien didn't flinch. He moved like a machine, unstoppable. Lyra screamed, her pendant glowing brighter and brighter until the whole canyon flashed with light. The shockwave threw them all backward. When the dust cleared, Reinar was gone, vanished into the shadows. Daniel helped Lyra up. You okay? She nodded slowly. He will come again. He won't stop until he takes the Heartstone. Daniel looked down at the glowing canyon floor. Then we better reach the temple before he does. Far above, unseen by both of them, one of the drones still hovered, its red light blinking. It had recorded everything, and on the human warship orbiting above, Commander Huxley watched the footage with cold eyes. So, he murmured, our soldier has gone rogue. With the alien, he turned to his officers. Prepare the strike. We end this. And them. The countdown began. The canyon grew darker as Daniel and Lyra climbed deeper into its glowing depths. The air hummed with strange warmth, and the walls around them shimmered with living light. It was like walking inside the veins of a giant creature. Daniel wiped sweat from his face. How much farther? Lyra's voice was faint but calm. Not far. The temple is close. I can feel it calling. She touched her Heartstone. It glowed brighter, pulsing in rhythm with a deep sound that came from below. A slow heartbeat that echoed through the rock. They reached a bridge made of transparent crystal. It stretched over a huge chamber filled with swirling light. The energy looked alive, twisting and moving like a sea under glass. Daniel stopped in awe. What is this place? Lyra smiled softly. This is the heart of Erevos. The temple is built around it. Every life on this world is connected to it. They crossed the bridge carefully. The crystal hummed under their feet. At the far end stood an archway made of blue stone, carved with alien symbols that glowed as Lyra approached. The doors opened on their own, revealing a vast hall lit by floating spheres of light. At the center stood an altar, and in it, a hollow space shaped like her pendant. This is where the Heartstone must return, she said. Daniel looked around. And when you do that, the planet will begin to heal. But she hesitated. It may take my life. Daniel stared at her, shocked. No, there has to be another way. She smiled sadly. The Heartstone is part of me. When I return it, I become part of Erevos again. That is how the Guardians were born. That is how we keep our world alive. He shook his head. You don't deserve to die for this war. She touched his arm gently. You helped me when you didn't have to. That was humanity. Maybe your kind still has hope. Daniel looked away, his jaw tight. If we survive this, I'm going to tell the truth to everyone. Before she could answer, the ground trembled. The sound of engines echoed through the canyon. Daniel ran to the doorway. In the distance, he saw flashes of light. Drones descending again, followed by heavy ships. The humans had found them. Lyra's eyes widened. Your people are here, he cursed. They're not my people anymore. Explosions shook the walls. Crystals shattered. Dust rained from the ceiling. Lyra stepped toward the altar. I must do this now. It's the only chance, Daniel turned to her. If you die, this means nothing. But before either could move, a blast of energy hit the ground near them. The shockwave threw Daniel across the hall. He hit the wall hard, pain shooting through his chest. Out of the smoke, a tall figure stepped forward. Reinar. His armor was cracked and burned, but his eyes burned with fury. You can't save her, human. She belongs to us. Daniel pulled himself up, blood on his lip. She belongs to no one. Reinar raised his weapon, blue energy gathering in his hand. Lyra stood between them. Stop, Reinar. If you destroy this place, Erevos will die, and our people with it. He glared at her. Then so be it. You betrayed your kind. You side with the enemy. Lyra's voice shook but remained firm. The enemy is the war itself. Daniel lifted his rifle, firing a burst that hit Reinar's shoulder. The alien roared, blasting back with a surge of light. The explosion threw Daniel to the ground again. His rifle spun away into the shadows. Reinar advanced toward Lyra. You cannot stop destiny. Lyra held up her Heartstone. The glow became blinding. Maybe not, but I can change it. She pressed the crystal into the altar. A wave of light exploded through the chamber, shaking the canyon. The walls lit up with veins of blue fire. The air grew hot and heavy. Daniel covered his eyes. "Lyra!" he shouted. She screamed as the energy surrounded her, lifting her into the air. Her body shone like glass, glowing brighter and brighter until she was only light. Reinar tried to fight against it, but the energy hit him like a storm. He screamed, his armor melting away as he was thrown into the abyss below. Daniel struggled to his feet. "Lyra, no!" The light filled everything, the canyon, the sky, the mountains. Then slowly it faded. Where she had stood, only the crystal altar remained, now glowing softly with steady blue light. The air was still. The war sounds were gone. Daniel fell to his knees, staring at the empty space where she had been. The glow spread outward through the crystal walls, across the canyon, and up into the clouds. The planet was healing. He could feel it, the vibration under his hands, the gentle hum of life returning, but all he could think about was her voice. He whispered softly, "You saved them all. Even us." Above him the clouds parted. For the first time in years, the real sun of Erevos shone through. The light touched his face, now warm, golden, alive. And in that light for a moment he thought he saw her, smiling, peaceful, part of the world she loved. The light faded slowly, leaving silence behind. The air was warm again. The smell of smoke was gone. The sky above the canyon had cleared. No clouds, no ash, no fire. Just peace. Daniel stood alone inside the ancient temple. His body ached, his uniform torn, but he was alive. Around him the walls glowed with calm blue light, the same soft color as Lyra's eyes. He looked toward the altar. The heartstone was gone. In its place was a glowing mark pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Daniel stepped closer. He placed his hand on the stone and a faint hum filled the air. For a second he felt something, her presence. A voice, soft and distant, echoed in his mind. "Thank you, human, for seeing me." His eyes burned. He whispered, "Lyra," but the voice was gone, carried away with the wind that blew gently through the cracks in the temple walls. Outside, the world had changed. The valley that was once broken and burned now shimmered with new life. Plants glowed brighter, the rivers ran clear, and the air felt clean again. Strange animals, gentle, luminous creatures, walked among the stones as if the planet itself had awakened from a long nightmare. Daniel looked up at the sky. The human warships still hovered far above, but they were not firing. Instead, they stood motionless, silent, as if the planet's light had frozen them in awe. He activated his old communicator. "Base Command, this is Sergeant Daniel Crow," he said. "I'm alive, but the war is over. Do you copy?" Static filled the channel. Then a familiar voice replied, "Commander Huxley." "Crow, we saw the energy surge. What happened down there?" Daniel looked around, his voice calm but firm. "The planet lives again. The heart was restored. It's not a weapon. It's alive." Huxley hesitated. "Alive?" "Yes, you need to tell the others. We've been killing something sacred. This world isn't ours to take." The commander's voice grew colder. "You've gone rogue, Sergeant. You're protecting the enemy." Daniel clenched his jaw. "No, sir. I'm protecting life, the same thing soldiers are supposed to protect." There was silence for a long moment. Then Huxley spoke again, his tone softer, almost uncertain. "What happened to the alien woman?" Daniel looked back at the altar. "She saved us all." Another pause. Then Huxley said quietly, "Return to the extraction point. We're sending a team. We'll talk." The communicator clicked off. Daniel stood there for a moment, staring at the distant sky. He knew what talk meant. They would want answers, reports, maybe even to bury the truth. But he also knew something had changed in him, something that could never go back. He left the temple and began climbing toward the surface. The air was cool, the canyon glowing around him like a dream. Every step felt heavy but full of meaning. When he reached the edge, dawn was breaking. The sunlight poured over the land, painting the hills gold. In the distance, the wrecks of war looked small and forgotten. He stopped and took one last look at the horizon. In the wind, he thought he heard her voice again, faint but real. "You helped me when no one else would. Now help them see." He smiled softly. "I will." Then he began walking toward the rising sun. Epilogue: months later, the war ended. Reports spread across the colonies. The truth about Erevos, the living planet, and the sacrifice of the alien woman who saved both species. Daniel Crowe left the military. He became a messenger between worlds, teaching humans what he had learned, that life exists in many forms, and kindness can change everything. Sometimes when he looked up at the night sky, he saw a faint blue light shining among the stars, and every time he did, he whispered the same words. Rest easy, Lyra. Humanity remembers.